have found Authentic Business Adventures, the business program that brings you the struggles, stories, and triumph and successes of business owners across the land. We're locally underwritten by the Bank of Sun Prairie. Downloadable audio episodes can be found in the podcast link found at drawincustomers.com. My name is James Kademan, entrepreneur, author, speaker, and helpful coach to small business owners across the country. And today, we're welcoming / preparing to learn from Ibrahim Harun, the owner of IH Concepts. So Ibrahim, how are you doing today?
Good, how are you? Thank you for having me on the show today.
Yeah,
it's been a while.
It's been a long while. Now, just so that the audience knows, I've known Ibrahim for 12, 15 years.
Probably 13 years now.
Somewhere
already.
over a decade, so it's been a
long
while.
time.
And I got to say, I know vaguely what IH Concepts is, but why don't you tell the audience what is IH Concepts?
Yes, so IH Concepts is a strategic graphic design firm. We like to say that we promote client success through branding. So we do that through graphic design services in the print arena, web design, logos, and mobile apps.
All right, nice. And how long have you been in business?
We just had our 14-year anniversary
Did you really?
yesterday.
Oh, wow. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Nice. So let's go back 14 years ago. Let's go back 14 years ago in a few months. What made you decide to start a graphic design business?
You know, I've always been entrepreneurial.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, since high school, I've done things such as selling computers on the side or so, and just a couple other little side ventures or so.
All right.
So I worked for a company for a couple of years or so and decided that I didn't really specifically like how things were run or so, you know, how they were treating the clients or so.
Now, is this a graphic design company?
It was a graphic design / printing company.
Okay, and were you a graphic designer at this place?
I was, yeah.
Okay, all right. So you're working there and you're like, I don't like this place.
Yeah.
They're not treating people well. I don't see myself growing old here.
Yeah.
All right.
So in November of 2007 was when I started, thinking, I should freelance. So I kind of actually started doing my first freelance project. It was actually my mother's business, Healing Hands Home Care.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So did you come to her and say, hey, let me design, I don't know, did you do logo or business cards or what did you design for her?
So we did the whole thing, the logo, the business card.
All right, the letterhead, the envelopes, the whole
website
too.
Or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's when I decided to just start saying, hey, I could probably make a thing out of this sure. So that's how I started IH Concepts.
So what made you decide to start your own gig versus just getting a job with some other company that treated people better?
I truly just decided that in order to, effectively work with the way that clients should be worked with, or I felt that they should be worked with, that, I just really need to kind of start my own thing.
All right. All right. So one of the interesting things about graphic design, now I went to school for graphic design, and there were certain things, I can remember they had the Mac side and they had the PC side. And the Mac side was full, and I was one of, I think, 2 or 3 people that was on the PC side. Because I always called Macs crash and toss, because I would destroy them. I don't know why, but that was whatever. And it was interesting, because with PC side, you look at the programs that you had to deal with, right? Or even the Macintosh side. You had Photoshop, you had Illustrator.
Yeah.
Later on, you had InDesign, you had Quark Express, CorelDRAW, if you remember that. I don't even know if that's still around. But they were big money.
On it a couple times.
Like you could buy the student versions for a few $100, which was still expensive.
Yeah.
For a student, anyways. And now Adobe's got, I don't know, it's probably been a decade now, but where you got to pay a monthly nut to have them. So it gets expensive to be a designer with professional programs. So when you first started, how did you start with the programs? Did you just buy old ones? How did you start with that?
I ended up just getting older versions of the programs or so. Honestly, with Photoshop and Illustrator and InDesign, very little has changed with the programs or so that, we're still able to be fully functional or so.
Yeah.
Nowadays, my team tends to subscribe to the Adobe Creative Suite or so.
Yeah.
So, we have a lot more of the latest software.
All right. All right. It's got to be. It's expensive.
Very,
I know, unless
very.
I take that back. There's because you look at the Adobe stock, and when they went to the monthly nut, it was like ba-boom.
Yeah.
Instead of just the one time, use it until you don't feel like using it anymore thing.
Yeah.
So it's apparently a good business decision for them. But for the people like me that were just dabbling, like we're just thinking around with logos or stuff like that, just kind of for fun, hobby, our own business.
Yeah.
Paying the monthly nut is like, well, that's not going to happen. I don't need that many logos.
And
So- Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, and most people we can still effectively use, say something down to CS4 and CS6
All right.
or so. So, we'd be able to still, if the client was inclined to get the program, we'd still be able to, work with them for
Gotcha.
sure.
Gotcha.
But unless you're using it frequently or so, then usually going that route just makes sense. And you can
All right.
find, old versions of the Creative Suite for, pretty cheap or so.
All right. So now when you first started, you mentioned doing your mom's website.
Yeah.
Did you have the skills to do logos, business cards, putting together websites?
Yes, at the time I was actually about a year and a half into working for a company
Oh, nice.
or
Okay.
so. So, yeah, it was actually a really great experience where I got to translate a lot of those skills, but I actually got to as well, translate a lot of my web design skills that, I haven't had much of an opportunity to do,
right, sure.
with my old company.
Something in 2007, I built a website in 2006 for my first business, and that was in Dreamweaver, which is way back when. I'm thinking building a website now versus building a website then, it's night and day.
Yeah.
Night and day. So how did you transition? Or let me back up a step. What did you first use? What was your go-to tool for building websites?
We use Dreamweaver.
Okay.
So, something that hasn't changed is that you still design the layouts in either Photoshop or Illustrator or so.
Okay. All right.
And then you just break it down into Dreamweaver. So, so at the beginning, we used a lot of Dreamweaver to build our website or so. Nowadays, I actually now have a coder on my team that actually does that, and we use more WordPress and more Drupal or so.
All right. All right. Okay. That's very cool. Yeah, WordPress is what I'm using a lot. Dreamweaver. Is Dreamweaver still a thing?
It is, yeah.
It is. Okay. I've been out of touch in this world for a decade or so, something like that. So a long time. It's just, yeah, it's one of those when you think of responsive websites back in 2006, 2007. That was something that was barely mentioned.
Yeah.
And then as the web advanced and people started getting smartphones, tablets, even just smaller laptops. I remember, what was that, Sony Vaio laptop thing came out with the odd-shaped screen and stuff like that. Well, we got to create a website for that size screen. And just where responsive wasn't a thing, you were actually building multiple websites for each screen size. I mean, things changed, right?
Yeah, it's definitely gotten a lot more intricate or so. And actually, as of April 21st, 2015, Google said you have to be mobile friendly or we're going to knock down your search engine SEO ratings or so.
That was almost a favor to people that weren't. Because Google was essentially saying, look, a bunch of people are on their phone. In 2015, you could probably say, like, hey, the target market that I'm after, they're not on their phone. But now, 2022, I don't know of many, even my dad, who's 80, I don't know, he's older. I should probably know that. He's got a smartphone. So it's just a common thing.
It was interesting that I don't remember the exact statistics, but back in 2012, when we actually did our mobile app presentation, not as many people were accessing the internet from their phones. And then suddenly, by 2014, was when it started becoming a majority or so.
I wonder if a lot of it had to do with just bandwidth or the cost of bandwidth. Because where a person was typically charged, if you wanted a gig of access via your cell phone, that was a big deal back in the day.
Yeah.
And now a lot of people just have unlimited.
Yeah.
As the cost of that accessibility to that bandwidth has gone down,
Yeah.
they've used it more.
Yeah. Well, and also what happened as well too is that it now became more of a convenience thing or so. I mean, like, for example, with Dame by Local, I might be checking an event and I may actually be on the go and I'm actually accessing that from my phone or
Sure.
so.
All right.
So, just being able to get that information quickly and being able to get it in a very streamlined way and not having to kind of scroll, not having to kind of zoom in and out or so, which annoys a lot of people.
Sure. Trying to view a desktop size site
Yeah.
on your little 6-inch screen. Yeah. Tell me about when you first started your business. You got to market your design business, which a lot of times those go hand in hand. So what did you do to market your business?
It was a lot of networking.
Okay.
A lot of networking, a lot of word of mouth. And I thought that this was going to happen really quickly, and it ended up really, really taking its time.
All right.
So I think the biggest thing I had to learn was patience.
Fair, totally
Yeah.
fair. So when you say networking, you're going to networking events, attending networking groups, things like that?
Yes.
Okay. And was it tough? Like we've done a lot of networking. You and I have networked together.
I mean, we see each other all the time.
Yeah, it's just one of those, like there's the pool of, I don't know, whatever, 300-ish networkers around
Yeah.
Madison. They're just like, oh, you again. You just know each other. The town seems pretty small. What's interesting is that you still have to convince people or get them to trust you to be able to do what you say that you do.
Yeah.
I had that with the printer repair company, the call answering company. I imagine you did as well with the graphic design company.
Oh, yeah.
Because even though they know you and they shook hands, maybe they shared a beer or whatever, a couple chicken wings, something
Yeah.
at these networking events, they're still like, I'm going to spend money with you because I trust you. So how did you get people to trust you to know that you knew what you were doing? Even though you knew what you were doing, you still got to get them to know.
It's the biggest thing, and it's funny because I talk about this a lot. With my interns, we run internships with IH Concepts.
Okay.
And the biggest thing I say is it doesn't matter how confident you are, it's how confident others are in you or so.
All right.
So the biggest thing for me was just building trust.
Okay.
And building trust and, also, helping out with their business or so to build that trust as well. So whether doing that via referrals or so, or doing that, whether giving them, some free advice or so, is something that was really huge for us to do.
Okay.
And that over time and years actually was what helped build IH Concepts or
All right.
so.
Sure. Tell me about your first client that was not your mom.
Sure. So my first client is actually a poet. I don't know if people know Fabu Phyllis Carter or so. And she was actually the Madison poet from 2008 to 2012.
Okay.
And with that, I actually did all of her marketing collateral on her website or so.
All right. So you threw me a curveball here, which is interesting. I love it. A poet came to a graphic designer. That means that she's making enough money as a poet, or it's a big enough hobby for her that she justified having all this stuff. Like, that just seems like a weird client. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So how did she find you?
It was actually a referral that I got in the community or so.
All right.
So she just reached me, said, are you able to help do a website or so? And that's when I actually talked to her as well, too. Let's also start thinking about your marketing collateral as well, too, because the biggest, most important thing in graphic design, whether it's print or web, is consistency.
All right.
So it ended up being a way of her building like a personal brand or so. And she actually does some consulting as well, too.
Okay.
And
Poetry consulting or?
Yeah, a lot of literary consulting. She does like workshops and
Oh, okay. All right.
does like poetry reads or so.
Okay.
And working with us and just having that professional presence actually helped build her credibility.
Gotcha. So when you first got her as a client, was your first thought, this is awesome? Or was your first thought, oh, what do I do now?
Oh, this was awesome.
Okay.
I kind of knew I'm always up for a challenge or so.
All right.
So I always, see each client as a challenge. A good challenge.
Sure.
And a good way for us to even showcase our skills, but also, continue to learn as well too and build experience. So I was ready at the time just to step up to the plate.
Nice. All right. Tell me about employees. When did you get your first employee?
So I had my first designer in about 2010 or so.
Okay. So a few years after you started.
Yeah.
All right.
And it was about 2011, and I had a consultant talk to me about, starting to work on my business or so. And, as an entrepreneur, you wear so many hats. You're the accountant, you're the networker, you're the salesperson, you're the designer or so. So I had to start learning to let go of a few things, to focus on what I do best or so. So that was the tipping point that had us make the decision to bring that person on.
All right. And was there a point from a financial point of view where you had enough revenue coming in to justify them? And were they full-time, part-time?
Part-time.
Okay.
So once we got to one part that really pushed it was when in 2011 we started getting so much work. I was like, how am I going to handle this? And that actually helped us justify and say we need to start bringing this on.
All right.
And that was the point where there was some credibility or so that we could start to raise our rates or so.
Nice.
And that was when we start really looking at like profit sheets and what rate do we need to charge and what rate do we need to pay that person to be profitable or so and sustainable.
All right.
So that was what made us make that decision.
Tell me about when you have a volume of clients coming in, and they have these jobs, and they're like, hey, design this logo, design this website, design this business card, all this design stuff. There's a crossroads with graphic design that I found where it's art, but it's also commercial, right? The whole commercial art called graphic design now. And it was like, sit down in this chair and be creative. And it seemed to be an opposing ideal to just an artist where you're just like, what do I feel like painting today or something like that. And this is the main reason that I got out of graphic design, or I should say one of the main reasons that I got out of graphic design, because I had a very hard time being under the gun on the clock and putting out good work, or at least what I felt was good, from a design point of view. And I know that there are clearly people that are good at this, but how do you keep your creative juices flowing, knowing that you're also under a time constraint, or sometimes even just the design constraints? I can tell you, when I first started graphic design, or I was at a graphic design company, I was low man on the totem pole, so I got the junk. And the junk was usually the pro bono stuff that they're doing.
Oh, yeah.
So I remember we had to do this brochure for some nonprofit, and there was a committee that I had to work with. It's a committee of 15 people.
Yeah.
And I remember submitting ideas to them. You submit 5 ideas. 3 of them were awesome. 2 were just filler. And they picked one of the filler ones. I'm like, oh, no.
Yeah.
You just got to run down this road. And they had so many people trying to make so many decisions. Or I should say, so many people trying to make a few decisions.
So many
Everybody
people
wanted their
like
voice heard.
managing.
Oh my gosh, it was a mess.
People.
It was a mess. And I'm like, I'm just trying to be creative, make this look nice, but you're also under the gun. You're also on the clock from the business owner is like, well, I'm paying you, you better produce. Which true to them, right? They gotta it's the business to run.
Down, for sure.
So I guess the question comes down to, how do you balance the creativity side of graphic design with the time and profitability side of a business?
Here's the biggest thing that I think was the biggest thing that a lot of people on my team have to learn or so is how do you, balancing that or so. And, I guess the way I could probably answer that question is as I started doing graphic design more personally myself, I just naturally got faster at doing it.
Okay.
In terms of like, kind of balancing the creativity and the client's need or so, I've learned to accept that, some things are going to make it in my portfolio and some things are just going to be a bill paid.
All right. Fair. Totally fair.
I've had $500 projects that I've made in my portfolio, and I've had projects that were 12,000 that didn't make it in.
All right. Fair. Okay.
So the biggest question, as I'm interviewing interns, as I interview people, to be on the team or so, the biggest question I ask is a client wanting changes is part of the process as a graphic designer.
Sure. Totally makes sense.
How would you, and I always throw something I'll always throw something wild in there as well too. Like let's say, for example, they want to put an ad for grenades in a children's magazine. How would you handle that?
All right.
And the biggest answer that I'm looking for when as I'm hearing people reply, is to see how they're going to convince the client and guide the client or so. But, how they ultimately remember that that person is a customer and that person is writing the check or so. So, the biggest thing, I'd say the biggest thing with that is balancing that. And there's several, I like to say that there are 3 types of clients. There are those that are, I know what I want. I know what I want. I don't want anything else. I want this. Don't change my mind. I just have to do what they say.
All right.
You also the client that's kind of like, I sort of know what I want or so. I mostly know what I want, but I appreciate your guidance and want your professional opinion. You're the expert or so. Please guide me. And then you have the third client that absolutely has no idea what they want, where you have to more so help them through the decision or so.
All right. So they just say, I know I need a website. That's the extent of my knowledge.
Yeah.
I need to be on the web.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay. Got it.
I mean, the biggest thing I've found being in the field is that you have to just be okay that, some projects are going to work out or so. Being something that's portfolioable or so.
Sure.
And some projects aren't. And, the other thing I really had to learn was how to manage expectations or so.
For the clients?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, somebody might think that something's going to take a day to do. And in actuality, it takes 2 weeks to do.
Sure.
So how would you, so educating the client on that. And a lot of that happens like through our fee agreements or so that they know that, okay, you can't get to Madison to Chicago in 5 minutes.
Right. Tell me about the employees that you have. How many employees do you have?
Right now, we have a team of 8.
Okay. And are they full-time, part-time?
Part-time.
Okay.
We have one that's full-time.
All right. So the employees that you have that are, let's just run with the part-time ones, do they have other graphic design jobs, or is this the graphic design job?
So they do a lot more freelance or so. So yeah, other graphic design jobs or so.
All right. And are they in-house? Like, do you have an office? You mentioned you had a place downtown. I think maybe I've been to your office. I don't remember.
Yeah, I mean, we have a place in, our office is inside 100 State or so.
Oh, sure. Okay.
But most of the time with our team, they work remote or so. I mean, they'll come in for meetings or so. So even as COVID hit, we were already used to that or so.
Right. Yeah, with graphic design, you don't need to be in any given
a lot
place,
more
right?
of a hybrid or so.
All right. Was it hard to find people? Or has it been hard to find people?
It's been pretty For me, it's been pretty easy or so. Usually,
You were the first person to tell me that. I mean, congrats to you. That's
Yeah.
huge. That is very huge.
a lot of what, well, and I mean, a lot of our team previously, we have 2 designers that have been interns before.
Okay.
So we were able to build that rapport that they were already in.
Okay. So they more or less climbed the ladder of IH concepts?
Yeah.
Okay.
We've had one intern designer, I'm sorry, that I just put like a email blast out to like MATC graduates or so.
Okay.
So, emailing 30 people and expecting that maybe 5 are going to respond, and expecting that we're going to probably take on 1 or 2 or so.
Yeah. All right.
So, I mean, for me, yeah, especially for me building my team, I really like to work with people that I trust or so. So I find that, not only am I networking with businesses, but I'm also networking with the schools, and I'm also networking with their students as well, too.
All right. Tell me about the internship thing, because you have had interns for a long time.
10 years now.
10 years.
Yeah.
So tell me how that process works. It always through MATCs at certain times a year?
So we always have like a revolving door of people coming in. Usually it's by semester.
Okay.
So we would have like the fall semester interns, or so some people would want to renew depending as to what experience or value they would, get out of continuing or so. We'd have the spring interns and the summer interns or so. So a lot of our recruiting has either been like through Handshake or Indeed or so. We also have relationships with MATC and the UW as well too.
Okay.
So I actually have had a few people find me through that as well too.
Oh, nice. So what work are the interns doing? It's design work, I imagine, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like to be really hands-on.
Okay.
I like to be hands-on. I think that there've been a lot of employers that have kind of used interns to replace, their staff or so, and we just don't do that.
Okay. So just explain that or elaborate on that a little bit, if you don't mind.
Sure. So I tend to, with things being hands-on or so, would either have them, kind of work on part of a project or so, or, work more internally with the IH Concepts brand or so. Usually I like to have a time that we evaluate them or so. And then usually if we've brought an intern on to a paid project or so, it's usually been after like a couple months or so of building that rapport.
All right. Okay, so they're not put on paid stuff right away.
Yeah.
They more or less graduate, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Okay.
More call. And a lot of our interns actually do it for college credit as well too.
Gotcha.
So we still have to really follow the laws we have to follow the labor laws as well too. And
Gotcha.
We take that very seriously.
They're not just stuffing envelopes or something like
Yeah.
that. Free labor or something. Okay.
Oh my God, no.
Okay. And the interns that you get, they have not graduated yet. They're still getting credit through you. Are these 2-year programs or 4-year programs?
So with graphic design, we either have had a lot through MATC or through other universities. So it's either, so it can be a mix of like a 2-year program or a 4-year program or so. Usually with our marketing interns and our digital marketing strategy interns, those tend to be a little bit more 4-year degrees or so. We've taken on one person from MATC, almost 10 years ago or so.
Okay. Wow. All right. All right. And how successful have you been converting those interns to employees, or with those interns once they leave IH Concepts going off to do a graphic design position of some kind?
We've had a pretty high placement rate.
All right.
I would say that successfully work with interns is about, close to like 65-70%
Okay.
of people or so, successfully complete our program. We've had interns that have gone on to work for smaller companies. I mean, I have an intern from 2013 that she's now working with CBS.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool. All right. So the employees that you have, do they see each other ever, or are they just kind of hanging out in their cocoon at home, just designing away?
A lot of. So I tend to still work with having meetings or so. So that's
Okay.
usually a time where people would come together or so.
All right. All right. I did want to ask you about competition, because the World Wide Web has brought the world smaller.
Oh
It's
yeah.
got things like WeWork or Fiverr or other. Oh my gosh, I interviewed a guy maybe a year and a half ago he was essentially connecting freelance designers with business owners and stuff like that, specifically for graphic design. How do you compete with stuff like that?
Yo, that's definitely gotten a lot more challenging. I mean, I think part of the IH Concepts brand, especially since we're members of Dane Buy Local, is our brand promise is that we like to help the local community.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So, it's amazing. I often will have like developers call me from India wanting to work with us, and it's like, we're sorry, we can't work with you.
Oh, interesting. Okay. All right.
So, I think from a brand standpoint or so, a lot of people want to still do business, still want to do business with local people or so, and support their local communities.
Yeah.
So that is something, instead of that being a disadvantage, that we charge more than like people in India or so, that's actually a way that we've made it an advantage or so. Like you're gonna still get that local experience or so. We're still here to support the Madison community, and part of a brand too is not just like the work you produce, but also like who you are and what your core values are. As a company or so.
Right. That's fair. That's totally fair.
Yeah.
You mentioned Dane by Local a few times, so you let me know that you won an award through them. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, we won the Outstanding Innovator Award back
Nice.
in October or so.
All right, October 2021.
Yeah, October
Okay.
2021.
Well, congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Tell me, I have to apologize because I don't even know what that is. I didn't know Dane by Local had awards like that, so just tell me
Yeah.
about it.
So the reason that we actually won it was because in the last year, the city of Madison did a grant initiative to help small businesses with COVID-related expenses or so. So our website services counted under that, and I mean, of course, on our website we had to mention a COVID statement or so, and we had to try to promote like curbside pickup and things to keep the Madison community safe.
All right. Curbside pickup of your logo.
Yeah, or your restaurant.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
So for our clients.
Got it. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So we were able to get a lot of our clients who otherwise would not have been able to afford our services
Oh, nice.
to get that grant.
Okay.
And we actually had a success story with Caspian Grill, which is a local Baku Mediterranean restaurant on the west side of Madison,
Okay.
where we actually got them the grant or so. I was actually in the process of talking them into doing a website or so. And because of the grant, we were actually able to do something a lot better or so.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we ended up, when we did their website and they were able to afford that, we ended up, putting their menu online, and not just as a PDF, but in HTML so that Google could pick up on it.
All right.
We went through changing like their point of sale system as well too, to accommodate online ordering,
Okay.
because that was a huge thing that helped them qualify for the grant or so. And I'm very, very big, on making sure that you our clients use the grant money for what it was intended to, especially with City of Madison taxpayers paying for it.
Right. Right.
So we were also, so that was like a huge thing or so that we did. And actually, somebody on the committee for that award, we actually worked with to change their POS
Oh,
system
nice.
to
Okay.
accommodate online ordering or so.
All right.
So he actually got to see firsthand, once that website released, like how much busier Caspian Grill is and how much more successful they are.
Nice.
And it was really funny too that there's a restaurant next door
Okay.
to Caspian Grill.
All right.
And I would stop by there and I would see Caspian Grill full. And I actually approached the restaurant next door with the same thing. And they didn't want to do it.
All right.
And I would see Caspian Grill full. And I would see the restaurant next door,
Yeah.
almost empty or so.
Oh no. Okay.
And maybe they're getting a lot of orders through Eat Street. Who knows?
Sure. Who knows?
But that was just literally the power of like doing a great website or so.
Yeah.
Because we were able to, find a way, and especially with COVID, people were especially checking out restaurants a lot more before deciding I want to go and eat inside a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
So I think some restaurants would say we just have foot traffic or so. Once Governor Evers said the restaurants had to be closed or so for like 2 months.
Yeah, ready or not.
And you can only do like
Sorry about your livelihood.
take out or curbside pickup.
Yeah.
The ball game changed really quick.
Yeah. It did. It did. It definitely changed in a
Yeah.
lot of places.
So
business-wise.
because we were able to help businesses like Caspian Grill pivot, that's what actually got us our award.
Got it. Okay. Very cool. Tell me, you mentioned a little bit of prospecting, or the presenting, I should say. So maybe who's the sales force for IH Concepts?
So I used to do a lot of it, but right now we do have a business development person.
You do? Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right.
And we wanted to choose somebody who believed in treating our customers well. I mean, you've got a whole lot of salespeople or so.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, because of what we were doing with our company and because we wanted to do things integrally or so, that's why this person signed up.
Got it. Okay. How recently?
This was about a year ago.
All right. And they're still with you?
Yeah.
All right. Doing well?
Yeah, doing really well right now.
All right. And how do you find a salesperson? Because, oh my gosh, out of all the employees to find, I think finding a salesperson has been the biggest challenge on my end.
That was the one thing that was a challenge. So
Okay.
maybe saying it's easy, I kind of partially take some of that back.
Simple, not easy, right? Okay. So were you looking for a salesperson for a long time, or did this person just land in your lap? How did that work out?
This person actually just kind of landed in our lap. I mean, we've tried to get salespeople from time to time or so. And this person actually happened to go to one of our photo shoots
Okay.
a couple months before.
Photo shoot, help me with that. Just a random photo shoot, or?
Yeah, one of our photo shoots for our business photos or so.
Got it. Okay.
So he actually modeled in it, and he said, hey, I can help you with some of your sales. So I ended up talking with this person for about a week later or so.
Mm-hmm.
And, about 6 weeks after that or so, especially once the grant initiative kicked off or so with helping businesses get that grant or so, he was really instrumental in a lot of the work that we got. And because of that, we actually got $50,000 of new business.
Wow. Okay. So he's doing okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's awesome.
Totally.
How did you go about training a salesperson? Because that alone's got to be, I mean, once you find them, now you got to train them. That's got to be a challenge, I
Yeah.
imagine.
So we actually had some sales guides already in place or so.
Mm-hmm.
That was the biggest thing. 3 years ago, we actually started an initiative where we need to really work on our marketing plan, work on our brand platform, and really just start formalizing systems. And that was one of the things that we really addressed. Because back in 2015, we had somebody, and we found that that was one of the biggest challenges was getting them on the same page or so, making sure, that they knew what the pitch was, knew how often we should meet with them, just kind of knew the sales procedures or so. So thanks to Mary Oxley at the communication team, she is in sales and a really good marketer.
Okay.
We were able to have those guides and systems set in place or so that when we brought on our person, they were able to, hit the ground running.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
Yeah.
So you've been in business for a long time. What are some of the things that you wish you knew when you first started your graphic design company?
I wish I knew it was going to take time. Although I think it was good. I think it was good that I found that out.
Yeah.
I definitely think that IH Concerts was a very much a learning curve or so.
Mm-hmm.
But, I cherish all the time that or all the lessons and all the pitfalls or so, has
Right.
not only helped me or helped IH Concepts, it's also helped me grow as a person as well, too.
Yeah.
I have a lot more I feel like I have a lot more appreciation for managers and for supervisors because their job in small business owners, because it's not easy.
No, that is the truth.
Yeah.
That is the truth. So when you first started your business, if the older you came back in time and said, hey, by the way, it's going to take you this long to really get this thing going, do you think younger you would have been like, that seems like a good idea still? Or, you know what, I'm going to find a different way to make money?
I probably would have been a lot more prepared with, just having like a part-time job as I was
All right.
growing or
All
so. I mean, I think I think one of the things that my folks have taught me was, everything takes patience or so.
Sure.
So I've naturally have been accustomed to that.
Yeah. You know what, you mentioned really briefly about the whole manager thing, and I should ask you about this, because you got 8 people, you said?
Oh, yeah.
8 people including the sales guy, or 8
Yeah.
people? Okay, so 8 people including the sales guy. There's always going to be at least one of them that's got a problem of some kind, right? Whether the computer's down, they're sick, their mom's sick, their cat's sick, whatever. How do you take care of that and juggle that and still keep the day-to-day system rolling?
I think it's, definitely having systems for that or so. Planning's a huge thing.
Okay. I imagine sometimes people get on a project, and if that person that's on that project for a client has to, whatever, go in the hospital, go on vacation, whatever, do something, do you have to move that project to another crew member? Or how do you juggle that?
So we have to be prepared to move that project or so. That's only happened like a handful of times or so.
All right.
I actually almost 2.5 years ago, had to actually get my appendix removed, and I was actually in the hospital.
Oh, no.
And I was actually taking on that project, and I was actually calling Pang. I was like, before I got under, and I was like, okay, I need you to start contacting this client. I need you to do this, and this, and
Oh,
this.
funny. Okay. That's awesome. That's awesome that you knew, like, okay, I'm going under the knife here. We got to check a few boxes here to get stuff in play. Just make sure this well-oiled machine can keep running. That's interesting. It's kind of a sad day as a business owner when you're on the gurney and you're just like, wait, I got to make a call.
Yeah.
I got to organize some stuff here.
I was like, oh, I gotta grab my phone and do
That's funny. I mean, you're good now, right? After surgery, it's just
Oh, yeah.
another day. Okay, slice, dice, away you go. We're all
Yeah.
good.
Oh,
All right.
yeah. A couple days later, I was fine or so.
All right.
But, I mean, especially in COVID, we've had to learn to be things have gotten a lot more fluid.
All right.
So we've had one person. We've been fortunate that we've only had one case on our team.
Oh, nice.
About a year ago, we had a marketing person that had it.
Okay.
Or so we had to be prepared to make those adjustments, and I had to be prepared to take on that work or
Sure.
so.
Nice.
I think the biggest thing is communication in that case. Luckily, she recovered. And then one of our designers last month or so, her husband got COVID. She was really lucky or so. So we had to be prepared. We had to be prepared or so to make sure in case that particular person
Got it. Okay.
had it or so, how do we adjust that to the other person? So I actually had our other designer in the meeting or so, just kind of catching up with the details.
Okay.
And,
Just in case.
Yeah, making sure we had a good filing system in
Sure.
case, just to, pick things up for sure.
Fair. Well, Ibrahim, we are essentially out of time here. Can you tell people how they can find you?
Yeah, so you can find me at www.ihconceptsonline.com. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on LinkedIn.
All right.
We're actually getting on YouTube as well, too. We've actually are releasing a couple of videos, so I'm excited about
Nice.
that. So
Oh, that's awesome.
feel free to visit us and find us. And
Cool.
We're always here to help.
Nice. Well, thanks for being on the show, Ibrahim.
No problem.
This
Glad
has
to do
been
this.
Authentic Business Adventures, the business program that brings you the struggle stories and triumphant successes of business owners across the land. We are underwritten locally by the Bank of Sun Prairie. If you're listening or watching this on the web, if you could do us a huge favor, click that thumbs up button, comment, share, and of course, let Ibrahim inspire you to start your graphic design business. I guess probably wouldn't be a terrible idea, right?
Or start any business.
Start any
So
business. It doesn't have to be
I
graphic
got
design.
stories. I got struggles.
Oh, we all do. That is true. My name is James Cademan, and Authentic Business Adventures is brought to you by Calls on Call, offering call answering and receptionist services for service businesses across the country on the web at callsoncall.com, as well as Draw In Customers Business Coaching, offering business coaching services for entrepreneurs looking for growth on the web at drawincustomers.com. And of course, the Bold Business Book, a book for the entrepreneur and all of us, available wherever fine books are sold. We'd like to thank you, our wonderful listeners, as well as our guest, Ibrahim Harun, the owner, CEO of IH Concepts. Ibrahim, can you tell us that website one more time?
www.ihconceptsonline.com.
Online, don't forget that part. Past episodes can be found morning, noon, and night. The podcast link found at drawincustomers.com. Thank you for listening and watching. We'll see you next week. I want you to stay awesome. And if you do nothing else, enjoy your business.